Hello and welcome to LawWiser. Today we have a very special guest today with us. She's Deb Feder, CEO Feder Development and founder Focus 30. Deb, very warm welcome to LawWiser.
Thank you for having me on LawWiser.
And a very good morning at 4:30 a.m. there.
Good morning or afternoon.
All right. So in fact, what is Focus 30? I think this name sounds very interesting. I think it will be interesting for us to know what exactly it is.
Focus 30 is your as market disruptor as you can be for the legal industry in productivity workouts. Attorneys, professionals from all over the world jump on in these 30-minute bursts, and we just get stuff done, right? So we're going to tackle your LinkedIn, your client communications, maybe clearing off your calendar, your task list, all within 30 minutes. So it's not one more idea to later. We get it done real time, and the community is all very supportive of each other. They want to help each other out. They want to make connections, collaborate, and it's turned into this really fun burst of energy that you can jump on as many times during the week as you want and be a part of it.
Super. I think this is going to be very useful for the lawyers who are listening to this conversation. Let me ask you another very interesting question. And, that's the point that you raised in your report, which is that, see, business development is everybody's problem, whether it's a small firm, big firm, individual attorney. And therefore, you've talked about entrepreneurship approach to business development. Now, let me try to understand from you, what does it mean for the firms? How can firms adopt entrepreneurial approach, and how can they support their lawyers, become good BD professionals with entrepreneurial approach?
I think that we can all agree that if you're a lawyer and your firm is set up for attorneys to bring in business, right? That at their very heart, they are an entrepreneur. They are responsible for building their book of business. And what we've done with the firm structure is we've brought all these entrepreneurs under an umbrella, and we want them to collaborate and work together and, have systems together. That's great. But when we're training a lawyer, we're not teaching them how to own this business and how to nurture it and care for it. And at the end of the day, what we really need, and what firms then expect lawyers to grow into, is this entrepreneurial business mindset of bringing in clients, caring for your clients, nurturing them, keeping them in the loop. And if firms can adopt a culture, no matter the size, can adopt an approach that supports that and rewards it and allows attorneys the freedom to do that. So for some attorneys, LinkedIn is really important because their ideal clients are hanging out there. There are some firms who are like, I don't know about that. We all need to work together to show up where our clients are. If your clients aren't there, what is it that you need to be doing to show up and be seen in a way that works for you and your clients? And when firms support that, reward it, and encourage it, the whole system works, no matter the size.
Okay, so and now, let me ask you, how the Rainmakers and people who would want to be Rainmakers can adopt this approach. What is it that they have to do? Tell me 3 things that they should do to have the approach. And can you also link that with Super 30 that you do? I mean, how can they do all of that? Yeah.
Okay, so 3 things. You put me on the spot here. Okay, so 3 things that you can do. Number 1, you need to have an idea and be able to speak about what you do. Okay, so many professionals, we've gotten so good at what we do that we want to make sure everybody knows everything. When in reality, we have to be able to clearly and succinctly talk about what we do. And we practice that. So in Focus 30, we actually practice. We don't, you got to actually put it into words, put it into emails, be able to use that. Second of all, you have to be able to understand and listen to your ideal clients. So when we use short strategic ways of getting into those conversations and stop talking so much and start listening, it's a game changer because we learn, how is it that our clients see this? How is it that they want the work delivered? And then that's really the entrepreneurial mindset and action, because we're no longer just saying we're the smart one, we know best. We're listening to what our clients want and delivering. And third is really being flexible and knowing that we need to make our work and our content and our message not just be about what we think is right based on our years of experience. Look, all attorneys, you're smart, you're capable, you're experienced. That's great. At the end of the day, the client already knows that. They want to know that you know them. So when we are sending emails consistently, when we are talking to them and engaging in really great conversations, we stand out in the crowd of attorneys because we're no longer just shouting information at them and we're engaging with them. And when we do that tiny, subtle shift, it doesn't take long. It becomes like the thing that clients seek out rather than try to avoid.
I think you made a very good point, because most of the time we are trying to say what we want to say without knowing what clients want to hear. And I think that's a great insight that came out of the tips that you gave. Now, let me ask you a little slightly more technical question here. You've talked about LinkedIn, and I think more or less most of the people agree that LinkedIn is a place where a lot of clients are hanging out, and so that's why it's becoming a preferred place for people to be. Tell me something. How can you hear using LinkedIn the conversations of clients? What is it that clients are looking for? And related question is that in the pandemic, where the digital has become so much more important, how can you make the most of your presence on LinkedIn? So these are the two questions.
Okay, so and jump in if I'm not getting them all. But so first of all, on LinkedIn, first and foremost, I would tell people just start by finding 3, 4, 5 conversations that are already going on, right? And jump into those comments. When we use the comments really effectively by sharing just a smidge of our personality or our approach. Now, I don't mean writing an essay. I mean adding a little bit, like encouraging. So more than good read or wow, interesting. Nobody cares about that, right? But if you say, that's really interesting, I always ask the question, ... Now I know a little bit about how you work or how you think or how you want to engage. And now you'll become more, you'll quickly become part of the conversation. Just like if you're at a networking event and you walk into the room and people are already having a conversation, when you add just a little, people want you to stick around. They want you to share ideas. So starting by I'll tell people 10 minutes, 15 minutes, jump on, comment. Okay. Find good conversations that relate to what you do, your expertise, what's interesting to you, where clients might be hanging out in those conversations, and just be present, show up. Then thinking about content doesn't have to be this very labor intensive, crazy, like complicated thing. Sometimes shorter is better. And in fact, recently LinkedIn expanded their number of characters that they allow in a post. It used to be 1,300 and they moved to 3,000. I will tell you, for lawyers, you needed the 1,300 limit. Nobody wants to read your really long law school essay on LinkedIn. So keeping it short, editing it, making it relevant. When you had those conversations and you listen to your clients, the words that they used, their approach, if you start talking about it in your content, now it'll resonate not just with your clients, but maybe with 5 or 10 or 20 more people. Because if certain people are saying it, like now we can have a conversation about it, right? And I'm not talking about confidential information. I'm talking about the approach, the questions they ask, the assumptions that they make about you and how you work that are wrong. We can weave all of that into LinkedIn.
That's a very interesting way of, engaging with clients without, having to make an effort of going to their offices, setting up meetings and all of that, but become a part of the conversations that they are already running. And that's what probably you meant, when you said informal pitches that happened just on the go on social media platforms. So I think that's a great insight. And now that actually links me to, what you said about thought leadership pieces, where you say that it necessarily not needed to be like those long pieces. But what's your advice to clients when they are actually making their expertise-led posts? So for example, if a client has a viewpoint on deals or any topic related to arbitration, what is the kind of, usual, the length that you would think that they should be using? What are the modern tools that they should be actually using to get their points across to their audience?
So I get asked about this all the time. Should I be using TikTok? Should I be making videos? What about, graphics? Here's what I'd say. First and foremost, have good content. Okay. And let's face it, we all have very short attention spans. So I would rather see you write something and put it out in a series of short posts that engage people day to day, rather than spending the time writing the lengthy scholarly article. Now, I'm also going to tell you, very possibly from my experience, the people who are writing the very lengthy scholarly articles are using it as an avoidance technique to actually get it out there. They're always editing it, refining it. It's not quite ready. So when we do it in short posts, you get ready, because we're only going to talk about one little thing, discussion about it. Then we're going to next one and have a discussion about it. And it keeps people engaged in the topics. If then video or a TikTok or a graphic or a Clubhouse discussion needs to come with it, great. But start with little pieces of content that are easy to digest, that people can engage in. Ask your audience questions, bring them into the dialogue. It makes it just more interesting.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think about podcasts? How's their popularity growing?
I think they're extremely popular. I also think that, here's the thing, any content, if you are just, and this might be contrary to what some people think, and I admit we can have a robust discussion about this. I don't think thought leadership for the sake of thought leadership is a great idea. I don't think going out to the world and just screaming your ideas and hoping it resonates is a great use of your time and strategy. If you start with a few strategic conversations with your clients, your ideal clients, your colleagues, referral partners, and pay attention to what they're saying, and you weave that into your approach, your content, your thought leadership, it then becomes really useful. It becomes something that, a tool that people want to pay attention to. But if you're just using it, as you said earlier, like just talking, then you're kind of hoping that you build something and hoping it resonates. And that's a lot of, questions that you're leaving up to somebody else to answer, rather than validating it and seeing what resonates up front. before you launch a podcast, before you launch a book or anything like that.
Okay, my last question to you is, again, is a very tool specific question. I see you using video as a tool very often on LinkedIn. What's your advice for your client on using that as a tool?
So some people love video and some people don't. I had to be shoved into using it. I mean, I was not like, hand me a video camera, let's go. But I will say that my message and the way that I resonate with clients and I talk to people often comes across differently with video, and it supplements the writing. Use the same approach, be natural, be yourself. Don't try, when lawyers try to be very perfect and buttoned up and sound very formal, people think they're working with somebody fake. People want to work with other people. And when you show up on a video, they get to see a sense of your personality, your approach, your words, how you're going to resonate with them. And that's what's really important. So if you're going to do it, just be yourself and allow us to get a glimpse of what it's like to work with you.
Thank you so much, Deb. I think it was very interesting conversation and it will be very useful for the BD folks and the entire legal fraternity in this region. Thank you so much for giving time, Deb, and we look forward to engaging with you in future as well.
Thank you so much for having me today.